If you only do what you have to do, you'll always be limited in what you do. Most of the time, it's the stuff that we don't have to do that ultimately changes our lives, changes our faith, changes the way that we encounter the world around us. Jesus points to this reality in Matthew chapter 5, verse 40 through 42. I want you to hear this morning. And Jesus goes on to say this, if anyone wants to sue you and take your coat, give them your cloak as well. In other words, that somebody sues you and takes your shirt, also give them your outer garment. This was a really important garment. This was everything to them. This was their blanket at night. This was a safety piece. This was everything that they had. Give them that as well. And if anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go also with them a 2nd mile. Give to everyone who begs from you, and do not refuse anyone who wants to borrow from you. That's what Jesus says. Jesus invites us to do this thing that we've heard before. Jesus says that we should go a 2nd mile, that we should give beyond what it is that we think we're required to, that we should go beyond what it is that we think we're required to, that we should go beyond expectations, that we should do more than just the bare minimum that C's get degrees kind of attitude towards our faith and our relationships with others, that we should go further than we think we have to. And we've heard this in a lot of places. We've heard this because there's this little chicken restaurant that's closed on Sundays. And they talk about this. Now you're all thinking about it, right? Now the rest of the day you're going to be mad at me because you're just going to be wanting Chick-fil-A. But Chick-fil-A took this concept and they instituted this idea called 2nd mile service where they go above and beyond. And it's the reason that some of us go to Chick-fil-A. Because we know they're probably going to get our order right, like most of the time. And if they don't get it right, they're going to fix it. And not only are they going to fix it, they're going to make sure that you're taken care of. We kind of have heard this before, this idea of 2nd mile service, this idea that we should go above and beyond. And it's one of the reasons that Chick-fil-A has gained such an incredible market share. But 2nd mile service is not just a business principle. Going the 2nd mile is a way of living that opens up all sorts of possibilities in our lives, in our relationship with God, and our relationship with one another. The problem is, not a lot of people do it. In fact, Roger Staubach, a great coach, said it this way. He said, there's never any traffic jams on the 2nd mile. Not a lot of people go that extra step. Not a lot of people go beyond what's required of them in their faith and their relationships and their work. Not a lot of people go that 2nd mile. And where this term comes from, what Jesus is talking about, is very culturally specific. You got to understand what Jesus is trying to say here. Jesus is talking to a group of Jews who would have lived under Roman occupation. Rome ruled this region, and they had kind of squelched all of the people of different regions, including the Jews in Jesus' day. And one of the rules that they had was if a Roman soldier came along and was tired of carrying his pack, he could look at any one of them and say, hey, I need you to carry it. And the rule was that you had to carry his pack a mile. You had to carry that soldier's pack for a mile. So just picture yourself. You're being ruled by a foreign nation, and they show up, and they don't want to carry the pack anymore, so anyone over the age of 12 could be forced into service to carry this conquering nation's pack. And this pack could weigh in excess of 80 to 100 pounds. That's a lot of weight to carry for a mile. It was what was required. It was what was required of them to carry it a mile. To carry it for a mile. And Jesus doesn't say, you know what? If somebody asks you to carry their stuff for a mile, do it with a great attitude. Smile when you are carrying that pack. Jesus doesn't say that. Jesus doesn't say just, pick it up and just go and do the thing that you have to do. Jesus says, to go an extra mile with that pack, to go further out of your way, to go longer into your day when you've got so many things planned and you're so busy and you've got so many places to be. Jesus says, yes, this is going to take time. This is going to take effort. This is going to take focus and accountability. This is going to take you doing what nobody else will do. But I want you to carry this pack an extra mile. Let me just make it real practical. How many Georgia fans do we have in here? Okay, all right, good. All you guys online too. You just give me like a thumbs up. All my Georgia fans. So this is, let me put it in context here. Nick Saban shows up today and he says, I've got a bag, and in my bag is all of my championship trophies. All right, this is the animosity. So do you feel that, right? You feel that. You felt that deeply. Nick Saban says, this is a bag with all of my championship trophies. You're required to carry it a mile. And Jesus says, I don't want you to just carry it a mile. I want you to carry it a second mile, because something shifts as soon as that second mile begins. Something changes in our heart and life as soon as we take that first step on that second mile. I just imagine that it would fundamentally change if at the end of that first mile, that Roman soldier said, all right, that's good enough. And you said, no, I'll carry it a little bit more. I'll carry it a little further. All of a sudden, the two people would have seen each other in a different context, in a different light. As soon as that second mile began, that Roman soldier would have wondered, why is this person carrying my pack further than they have to? Why are they doing more than what's required of them? Why are they doing that? Why would you do that? I don't understand. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't line up with my logic. I don't understand why they would go further. But Jesus understood the way that relationships work. Jesus understood that as you walk along, that Roman soldier would have begun to see that Jewish person in a different light. And I think that Jewish person would have begun to see that Roman soldier in a different light as well. And maybe a conversation begins, and maybe a relationship begins, and maybe some questions are asked about why, and what would you do that for, and you don't have to. Maybe, just maybe, when we go that second mile, it begins to build a relational connection that's deeper and more profound than just doing the bare minimum, and just doing what's required. Because the first mile is expected, but the second mile shatters all expectations. In so many ways, in so many places, Jesus calls his followers, Jesus calls us to not simply meet expectations, but to shatter them. Mile 1 fulfills an obligation, but mile 2 changes the nature of the relationship. Mile 1 is required. Mile 2 is relational. And just that one step further, just that one move further out of your way, just that little bit of extra time, just that little bit of extra resource, just that little bit of extra focus, just that little bit of extra attention, just a little bit more begins to change everything. Whether it's somebody that we're walking with, or whether it's somebody that we're serving, or whether it's somebody that we want to build a relationship with, or whether it's our relationship with God, it's that one extra step that begins to change the dynamic of the relationship. That one step into mile 2 all of a sudden changes everything. God gets bigger. Life gets more full. Friendships go deeper. So, what have you done lately that you didn't have to do? What have you done that moved you beyond just what's expected to shatter expectations? What have you done that moves you beyond just doing what's required to really building a relationship? What have you done that you didn't have to? Because it's those things that really begin to change our lives. And the reality is that most of us, when we come together, like we kind of consider this one of those check boxes, like we're coming to worship because that's the thing that we're supposed to do. But what would it mean to go the second mile? What would it mean to serve a second hour? What would it mean to take a step towards a group of people who are learning to live this way of Jesus together? And I know. Look, some of you have told me, like I've asked you before, hey, we could really use some help in our kids programming. Like we've got more kids. Like, good problem to have. And I've had some conversations, and some of you have gone, no, I did my time. Right? I did my mile. But what would that second mile look like? Or we're going to be helping to host the concession stand at Central Gwinnett on the 16th. What a great opportunity for us to engage with our community. We're going to be the host there. We're going to be flipping the burgers. We're going to be serving all the stuff, making the drinks. And I know. Look, I know some of you've already been there. You've done that. You got a lot going on. You've already done your time in the concession stand. You had kids who went through the high school, or you've got kids who are playing sports, so you got to be here, you got to be there. But what would it look like to take that extra step? And what would that mean for the relationships that we're building in this community? What would that look like? And you don't have to. That's the best thing. You don't have to. You don't have to serve our kids. You don't have to serve our community. You don't have to talk to a middle schooler. You don't have to serve at the concession stand at Central. You don't have to ask a waiter their name. You don't have to spend time praying for somebody. You don't have to volunteer at the schools. You don't have to speak out against injustice. You don't have to forgive a friend who offends you. You don't have to do life with anyone who's got different thoughts and opinions than you. You don't have to show up for somebody and visit them. And look, I'm going to be honest, in a lot of ways, life would be more simple if we didn't. If we just did what was required. If we just did what was expected. But it wouldn't be full. It wouldn't be full. And Jesus isn't looking for us to just live a life of expectation. He's looking for us to shatter expectations. Jesus isn't looking just for second mile service or second mile giving. Jesus is looking for second mile people.